And so we are at the final day of the Bergamo class, October 24th, 2016. Let's take our humanhood as though it is a coat that we are hanging on a peg outside the door of the inner sanctuary. Put that coat up on that peg and let all the mental meanderings drop away. Thinking about what's up the road ahead, going home, traveling there. That's not now. That won't be now until you're there, and then it will be the now. But right now, enter that inner sanctuary where the covenant of God is placed. The Ark of the Covenant was in that inner chamber, and only the priest could enter. For to enter, we must leave this world behind. We must come in all humbleness, laying our lives at the feet of God and surrendering it over to the point of, perhaps I've made a mess of things. I 100% give my life over to you, God, the God of my being, the very essence of life itself. With every breath, we allow all that is to be is. We surrender what we think we should do over to God, and we are moved moment by moment in life. But let's start at the very beginning of principle, the nature of prayer. We do talk to God a lot, surrendering mostly the things that are not of God, the things that we have made up in our minds. And then we listen. In that inner sanctuary, we come cleansed of all those thoughts, the worries, physical, emotional, financial problems we leave outside, and we go into that inner chamber, that chamber of the soul, that chamber of love, and we rejoice. For there, moment by moment, that very presence reveals itself. It is I, the I of my being, it's palatable. You can almost reach out and touch it For it is bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. It is the very spirit of that which created me, the I am. Scriptures speak of those who touched the Ark of the Covenant that were not priests would fall immediately dead. And we reach out to touch, and our humanhood dies. But it is a slow death, concept by concept, belief by belief, slowly gets annihilated. For that is what causes us the angst and the fear, the human conditioning. But let's pick up that part of us that took on that conditioning. And let's understand it was done in pure innocence. Picking up that aspect of our being we could call the child, where the Master said, "Come as little children." But it is the child, the innocence, the openness, and the willingness of the child to be taught that picked up these concepts. So gently, we take it in our arms and we say, "That one you don't need, honey. Let it go. Just let it go. It was in your ignorance and your innocence that you took that upon yourself. And now, in this inner chamber with the higher consciousness, we can examine and realize the desperation of that child to believe something, especially about God. For as we come into this incarnation, we come in baby bodies, but not baby consciousness. And we bring with us the fears and the experiences of lifetime after lifetime. And then we project it out there. This is how the human world works. We project all that baggage of ourselves and our ancestors out into the daily life. And we end up with someone in government who's wanting to go back to dictatorship, who wants to run the roost. And we approach that, understanding there's an innocence there too. There's an ignorance of being there too. And we hear, "Wake up, wake up." We hear that within ourselves, that we do not forget to recognize the very innocence and spiritual being that has forgotten who he is. And the same with all who come forth to, quote, fix our world, fix our government, fix what's wrong, fix the finance. And we thank them for showing us what doesn't work. And we, as individual being, ask to be shown what does work. How can I, in my little corner of the world, live out from the center of my very love being, in spite of the antics, in spite of the trickery around me? How can I rest in 100% forgiveness? Forgiveness of what? Ignorance. Forgiveness of innocence. For if anything going around me violates spiritual law, it is because they're unawake. And that is everything. There's only two states of being, and that is awake or asleep. And if someone is asleep, how can there not be forgiveness? The only person I can awaken, and I can't even do that of my own self, is this little individual speck on the planet. So when I fall asleep, am I forgiving? Do I understand that the only time that counts or that is important is that time in which I am awake? If I am awake, I am present in the moment. I am seeing things as they are, not as they appear. I am seeing it as life itself, as God itself. And it whispers, "Be still, my love, be still. Fear not the outer appearances of the world, regardless of which government we're speaking of. For the government has already been placed on his shoulders, the Christ consciousness. As we watch the breaking up of old conditioning, do not fear, for in that I would be fearing a power other than God. And my job is to sit in non-power, the fact that there is not two powers of good and evil. And when I become disheartened, it is because I have feeling for those around me. I am in separation if I am hurting or fearing or in anxiety. I have forgotten there is nothing separate from myself. There is but God consciousness, revealing itself moment by moment in the kingdom within. So I become still. Where else am I going to go? but to my knees, so to speak, in consciousness, asking, awaiting that still small voice that may just simply whisper, "Shh, be still, my love, be still." And then it is revealed that love is all there is, and love is doing the thing that love does best, which is surrendering everything that is not loving, uncovering it, discovering it, stirring it up, bringing it to the light. For punishment? No. To have it disappear. For there is no darkness, only absence of light. So in this inner chamber, the Ark of the Covenant between God and man, the covenant that Moses brought down off the mountain, the tabernacle. In stone it came forth written, "I am that I am," and it was placed in this Ark of the Covenant. And though the human is not allowed in because the human cannot see or hear correctly, but it is the spiritual being, the priesthood of our being, that is high enough, awake enough to understand, I am that I am doesn't mean I am God. It means God is me. God is the essence of my very being. God is the breath that I take with every heartbeat. It is God. God appearing as. And I breathe and I take a rest and I sit back and I say, thank you, Father. I know not, but I am willing to be enlightened. I am willing to be in the light. For in the light, the darkness has disappeared. And I see only your activity. As I cease judging the good or evil of it and see it as is, it just is. It is what it is. And that means it is I. We use the word I, for there are very few concepts of what that is. But when we say God, there's 100 definitions floating around the world of what God is. So we go back to the I. For when Moses asked, "What is your name, God?" the answer was, I am that I am. And in broadening that understanding, I am that, and I am that, and I am that, and I am that. So as we recognize right identity of all, of myself, of those around me, of the earth, turning in perfect orbit, everything unfolding exactly as it should. For as we are awake, we see clearly. We don't react. We just watch. We are the witness. We are the watcher. We watch to see the darkness enlightened. We listen, and sometimes we hear nothing. But as we hear the nothing, it becomes louder and louder and louder to where it thunders. I love that term, thunder of silence, for indeed it does. But only after I have cleared away all the clatter, chatter, noise of the mind and the world, when I sit in silence, no computers, no TVs, nothing disturbing, I discover that silence is indeed not the absence of sound, but the absence of self. And that little self lays down, good, bad, or indifferent, it will lay down before the Master. And it will release itself from any condemnation. It will release itself from any karmic hangings on of the past. For it comes, the little self comes in complete surrender. Our hands are open, our hearts are receptive, and our soul is in recognition of the I. And so we begin. Continually we are beginning. We begin the day. We begin our meditation. We begin our work week. We begin with the three principles: the nature of prayer, listening, the nature of God, I am that I am, and the nature of error, the two most important words that Joel gave us that we hear nowhere else. And that is impersonalization and nothingization. Whatever comes before us that does not appear as what we would think to be God, we know it to be impersonal, universal mesmerism. And nothingize it. Impersonal, nothing. Just came to go. This too shall pass. It comes to pass. And the one thing that is eternal, everlasting, is God. That's how we know these things in the outer world is not God. For God never is not where these things cease to be. If it is everlasting, it's of God. If it comes and it goes, it is of the human scene, of the picture, of the hypnosis of the world. that nature of error is what helps us dissolve that which is not God. We live and we move and we have our being in Christ, in that consciousness of the Master Jesus Christ. And we long to live in and as those principles He gave us. It is the only thing that satisfies. Love your neighbor as yourself. That requires me to love myself. And so in this inner chamber, we bow before that covenant. God has made a covenant with man, and we still love it when we see a rainbow. We feel God is closer. The covenant that God made with man, that He would never destroy the earth again, as was spoken of as the flood waters, which again is an analogy of water cleansing all that is impure, all that is not of God. But we do that not by picking up the sword, not by fighting it, not by condemning it. It is done by recognizing the nothingness of it. The louder it performs, the louder our I has to be. The deeper we have to come from that love soul experience. And so we rest and we come home, home to our inner soul, home to that sanctuary, home where we leave that humanness to impersonalization, and we nothingize all that we see out there. For only God is something, as Joel said when he mentioned there is no God. He referred to the concepts of God that man has come forth with to feel less afraid. And he said, and I hear his voice, Joel's voice saying, but there's something. And there it is, right there, that something. We cannot describe it or explain it. We can only be it and live in it and feel it, bask in it, pull it around us like a cloak of love, and to know, I will never leave you or forsake you. For I have come that you might have joy, that you might know joy. It is my good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And you need to go within to that kingdom and bask in it as though you're basking in sunlight, the sunlight of the Spirit. It is home. That is your true home. right where you are. It can't be any place other than where you are. And we stay awake, awake to the moment, awake to the present moment. For God can only be in the moment. He's not in the holy temples unless you are there in the moment in that temple. Even this inner sanctuary, this inner chamber that the Hebrews had in the temple Jerusalem, that presence, that Shekinah light that they claim was always present in that inner chamber. And the reason the priest could go in was because the priest could recognize it as its very being. But man wasn't ready to understand that then, for it is misused if it's not understood correctly, that the I of my being, the only power that gives me is the power that God has in using me. I don't use it. It uses me. And so we feel that Shekinah light. It glorifies God, not the little self. And as I rest in this light, in this sanctuary, I know the only love there is of God, of the I. And then what do I do with it? It starts to fill my being to where I expand and increase. And the only thing to do is release it. And the more I release it out into this building, out into this city, this state, as it grows, it increases and it pours over into Washington, over into the California area, all throughout the country, north, south, east, west, around the globe. I become the very love that I am. And I open up, and as I do, the cells of my body feel the light, my spirit body, and my spirit body projects out into the physical. And I watch as every cell receives that very light of God. It increases my well-being. It enhances my life force. It frees me of the limitations, of the appearances. I surrender every misdeed. I surrender every thought negative. I surrender them over. They come at me like universal beams. And I rise above them and I feel the presence of God dissolving anything that is not of God It is said we are either in the now time or the not now. And I say we are either in the God time or the not God time. And if we are in the God time, we are present and we are awake. And we allow that opening of love. And as it pours out, the world mind can't get in, for the pressure of the outpour of the love and the forgiveness and the understanding is so powerful, nothing can be coming in. For I am filled with divine love, the fulfillment. What is my fulfillment here on earth? I am filled with God. Why not make me God, the life you live, the work you work, the play you play, the joy that goes out from you when you are living in this I am, touches everyone. And as they come into your environment, consciousness lifts and they feel it. And they want to be around you. And they want to rub up against it. And they don't know why and they don't know what it is. They just know there's something there. And so we come back to that word joy, which is grace, the very grace of God. If we didn't have grace, there would be nothing. Grace, God revealing as consciousness eternally. Grace, God revealing as consciousness eternally. And do we fall asleep? Sure we do. And we are here to awaken one another. It's interesting how no two people are ever down at the same time. One, it seems to always be holding the light, while the other one is awakening. That is, on this path is what I'm speaking of. That's why the Master said, where two or more are gathered in my name, in that name of I am that I am. And when I can't recognize me, you do. And when you can't recognize you, I do. And so we begin. In the beginning was the light, was the Word, and the Word and the light was God. I love that chapter on prayer in Thunder of Silence that I gave out as an assignment. Ye shall pray this way, always in humility of I can't, God, and you can. Behold, I make all things new. Our tape last night on the middle path brought it very clear. Take no thought for your life or the life of your companions or patients, those who come to you for help. Take no thought for what they're going through. Simply pour the light and the love. We go toward spiritual law, not human law, not material law. And yet God's law brings the love to materialize to those around us. The truth shall make you free. And if I don't know the truth of being, I will not be free, nor can I free those around me. Right there, in that very moment, in the pause, is God consciousness. We who come to these classes aren't satisfied without that upholding of spiritual law. We want to know God aright. We want to be awake. We long for it all the time, so much so that we are so uncomfortable when we are asleep that we have to awaken. We can't stand it anymore when we're asleep in the material world. It's unbearable to feel the separation, for we have tasted and touched the unity and the connection and the communion to such a depth. And we say, why am I going through this? It's unbearable when we feel separate from God. And the reason it's unbearable is to wake us up, to get us back home again as fast as we can go. And the volume seems to get turned up, and it seems to be quicker to hit us when we're off target of spiritual law. It's instant now. It might be called karma, but I call it the awakening. The Zen stick is right there now. The minute I move off of principle, I get the whack. Not in punishment, but wake up. You're not in the now, you're in the story. Come home. No harm done. Come home. My beloved, I long so much for you that I can't bear it when I have moved away and I'm in the separation. Am I living in spiritual law of the middle path? No good, no evil, just is. And oh, the delight when I return to the Father's house of recognition. It's right there, it's instant, the delight is instant. Ah, presence, the very soul of my being, my beloved, the one who never, ever leaves me. God never abandons. And when I am abandoned out there, or when I am in that angst for someone having turned their back on me, for they could not simply wait 1 hour with me, knowing who I am. It is to bring me home even faster, quicker, for I cannot bear that feeling of separateness any longer. I must recognize everything and everyone around me as divine love. For if I see it any other way, I feel the pain. Not as punishment, but as awake thou who sleepeth. Awake to right identity. Awake to your true home. Awake to your true supply and support. I, the consciousness of your being. Who do you think beats your heart? Who do you think breathes your breath when you have forgotten to breathe? You go about your business, something is breathing you, something is beating that heart. It must be I. I am that I am. What else would be doing it? Many yoga practices have you going within and experiencing breath by breath, God by God. But wouldn't it be awful if we had to consciously remember to take every breath and to say to the heart, now beat, one more beat, now beat, one more beat? I have had that experience with a heart situation several times where I had to literally say and thump on my chest the way a heart thumps to get it reawakened. And I have had to say, now take another breath. Breathe in, breathe out. But usually short periods. But to think from the time you took your first breath on this earth as an infant, something has been breathing you and beating that heart. And you have not had to be conscious of it. And so it is. Alive. This is a living message. I am alive with the divine. I am alive in this splendor. I am alive in this joy. God is never not there. And so back in that sanctuary, we being allowed to enter that inner chamber where the light is. So we sit in it. Let's bask in it. Let's feel its presence. Let's be it. Rest in it as it shines on us until we become that very it.